tonight.
Overall, a little bit more positive outlook for 2018 than maybe the last couple years.
Where construction stands in Lloydminster for the new year. Plus,
we love the theater, we love this community, and I love the fact that I get to come back.
country music star Brett Kissel is in the border city.
This is Newcap News with Brian Lentz.
Well, today, members of the construction industry met in the border city to talk about the future of infrastructure and where the city can go from here. Eric Friesen reports.
The Lloydminster Construction Association held its third annual Connecting Opportunities Forum.
We have representatives from both Alberta and Saskatchewan construction associations and different industry connectors through the construction association, just to give an update.
The City of Lloydminster will be presenting on our capital project for 2018. So that will be a mixture of transportation, utility and building facility projects.
Construction has started on multiple new businesses on the Saskatchewan side of the border, and there is reason for optimism regarding further expansion.
There's some car dealerships coming in on the east side of town. There's the casino that's going, which, I mean, it has its foundation already in place, but hopefully we'll hear some this afternoon, some new projects that are coming forward. Overall, a little bit more positive outlook for 2018 than maybe the last couple of years.
Despite the promising growth of the construction industry, the ongoing dispute over Saskatchewan's proposed new ban on Alberta license plates could be problematic given Lloydminster's bi-provincial status.
Saskatchewan and Alberta are hoping to meet here some point, whether it be in January, February. They do have the new West Trade Partnership Agreement that will be ruling on that to see who they are going to be in favor, but both provinces feel they have a strong case, and it'll be interesting to see, but definitely something that will affect our region.
Eric Friesen, Newcap News.
Alberta country music star Brett Kissel has been the talk of the town in the past couple of days as his We Were That Song tour makes a stop in Lloydminster. The 27-year-old St. Paul native has a Canada-wide tour, including 2 stops here in the border city. Kissel stopped in at Real Country Radio on Wednesday before a show and is excited to be back in Lloyd.
But now to have 2 sold-out shows at the Vic Juba, that's everything I've ever wanted. You know, we love the theater, we love this community, and I love the fact that I get to come back.
The multi-award-winning country artist has Dan Davidson on for most of the tour in the opening act. Davidson, an Edmonton native, fits right into the theme of the tour.
And Dan, first and foremost, is a great entertainer. So that was the most important thing for me when looking for an opening act, was to have a guy who could command the stage, do a great job for the crowds, and just perform his heart out night after night. So Dan is a really good guy in my books.
After the 2 stops in Lloydminster, the tour will head west to Red Deer before a series of shows in Saskatchewan. History is usually seen as a dry area of study, including lots of reading and writing papers, but students at the Lloydminster Comprehensive High School are using a different method to learn about Canada's past.
It's all these independent projects on different areas of Canada's history and what it's about.
These Lloyd Comp students are taking a more hands-on approach to learning about the past.
Getting to showcase some of the artifacts and teach kids something that they may not learn on their own.
They've created their own museum exhibits to share their knowledge from the History 30 class.
Our different roles during the conflicts and what we were working with back then.
The history of uranium in Canada, how it was discovered and what it's used for today.
At the end, it's all about creativity and diversity and different learning styles. So, I mean, every kid here has an opportunity to find something that interests them. They pick their own topics. The only rule is Canadian. And they can decide how they want to present it.
I really got to unleash my creative side, which I think I'm fairly creative. And then it was just really in depth about something that I found fairly interesting.
An exhibit is a bit more fun to do, and it gets students a lot more involved. I mean, it's easy to sit down, write a review, but it's also boring, and you don't get as many good marks. I mean, Lord knows I've had plenty of bad papers in the past. I'm pulling a 57 out of 60 on this.
Though this is the first year of this assignment, its success among the students will ensure it becomes an annual event.
This will probably be the year-end assignment for now on. I'm not going to lie, today I was nervous. It could either be brilliant or a disaster, and it ended up looking overall really well done, like I hoped it would be. One of my students said this was their best assignment they've ever had in their school, which is nice to hear from in a history class where they often find it a little dry.
Well, after Blue Monday, mental health concerns remain in the spotlight. In this week's Healthy Living, Josh Ryan looks at a few ways to tackle seasonal depression.
People of various demographics and backgrounds are all susceptible to seasonal affective disorder, a condition largely brought on by not getting enough exposure to sunlight and even bright enough sunlight.
A lack of vitamin D, which we normally get through exposure to sunlight, and probably for a lot of people a lot less activity because of the natural tendency we have to hibernate.
The letdown of the holidays being over is another common trigger.
There is so much of a build-up and a hype and expectations, and sometimes financially a lot of money spent. That may be contributing as well.
One of the most commonly recommended ways to combat the disorder is the use of sad lights.
It gives you the blue part of the spectrum. It's like a light supplement basically, so that it triggers your brain to create the serotonin.
Another simple remedy is to exercise regularly in spite of the limitations of winter.
Even though you may not want to leave the house, that you can still, allow yourself to physically engage your body.
Often overlooked is the importance of regular eating times and balanced nutrition.
That actually helps with our moods, our energy, our motivation, everything. It takes a couple days for you to feel the effect of that, but you really do feel the difference.
And engaging with family, friends, and coworkers will also help with winter blues.
Effective chemicals released in the brain when we experience connection, bonding, and laughter. So those are those naturally occurring brain chemicals that we want to get as much of as we possibly can.
Josh Ryan, Newcap News.
This is Newcap Sports.
The junior Steelers season is nearing an end, but some of the team's players will have some extended playing time. Lance Phillips caught up with 5 of the Bantam Steelers who will be playing in some very significant games.
The Lloydminster Junior Steelers have some players that are being given a chance to do something new and very exciting. 5 Bantam girls have been selected to play in either the Alberta Winter Games, AFHL All-Star Game, or in the case of 2 players, both events.
Yeah, that'd be a great experience for me and my hockey, and it'll advance me, and yeah.
I'm just pretty fortunate that I got selected, and I'm going to keep on working hard so that it can happen again.
Having 5 girls from the Steelers team is a real testament to the work they've put in, and the games will give them a chance to experience some exciting new things.
Meeting new people and getting new friends and expanding my skills and sets and everything, yeah.
I hope to become a better hockey player, we'll meet new people, and it'll just be a great opportunity.
It's a good experience, and I want to learn new things and meet new friends.
But if the end goal is to become a better hockey player, there's no doubt the events will allow the girls to return a better version of themselves.
A lot of the top players are going there, and a lot of the good girls are going there, so I think competing with the really good, all these great hockey players, it'll be a really good opportunity, and I think it'll really develop me as a hockey player too.
Lance Phillips, Newcap Sports.
Well, one thing the border city has no shortage of are sports organizations and teams. Take hockey, for example. On any given day of the week, a hockey game is occurring in Lloydminster, but it's those little-known organizations that really make this city great. And one of them has been doing Lloydminster proud since it opened in 2017. It's been nearly a year in business for the Lloydminster Boxing Club, a club that went from a small cluster of people on opening night to a packed classes 2 days a week, along with having some of the most competitive boxers.
I didn't think we'd be as much of a success as what it has been, I guess, So, no, it's been amazing,
Burgess and his brother brought the boxing club back to life after their mentor and coach, Gordon Butch Blanchard, passed away. And now Burgess is doing for his boxers exactly what Butch did for him.
You know, we're definitely one of the most active, if not the most active club in Saskatchewan right now. We've traveled, you know, Fort McMurray. We went to Dime Bell competition there, and we've been to Regina a few times, and just all over the place, you know, Edmonton and Calgary and Tabor. We've been all over the place, so just busy, you know.
Burgess, who was once a champion himself, has been instrumental in the development of his young athletes, and his hope for the year to come is exactly the same as it was when the club opened.
I hope to see champions just as we did this year, you know, and see the boxers keep succeeding, you know, and we've got boxers that are starting to get past the novice stage in their careers and starting to get into the open class part of their careers, which means 10 more fights. So just excited to see where it goes for these boxers, you know.
Country music star Brett Kissel is in town for a pair of shows at the Vic Juba, and before his show tonight, he took part in a little bit of fun. Fun that, as Lance Phillips explains, may lead to a good night's sleep post-show.
Thursday morning at 9 a.m. After a show the night before, Brett Kissel thought it a good idea to go for a skate with the Lloydminster Bandits, except the skating he did was between the pipes. For anyone who knows Kissel, they know he loves hockey more than nearly anything, but this morning provided some new firsts for the musician.
I've never played hockey before show. I've never played goalie before. Only one time in the annual Kissel Cup, we have all the cousins get together. My dad lent me his 1979 Bonneville Senior A Pontiac brown leather pads, so I wore those once upon a time.
Everything went about as expected. Kissel making some big saves at one end, and Bandits defenseman Ty Kaner allowing a lot of goals at the other. And by the end of the game, tempers had boiled over.
The goalie brawl? Ty, 100%. Ty knows what he's doing. I dropped the gloves and I looked at him and I'm like, oh my God, he's got me by about a foot.
He dropped me a little bit there and then he took me down, so I think he took the W. I think he's just being a little modest.
Play from Kissel was reminiscent of former NHL goaltenders, which has accelerated the debate about whether he should stick to music or make a go of hockey.
I think he's pretty equal. He showed today he's making some huge saves, so I mean, he probably has a shot at the show if he wanted, you know. Oilers should give him a call, I think.
I tried to channel my inner Dominic Hasek and Marty Brodeur, but it was bad. I told my defense, I said, okay, boys, this is exactly what's going to happen. They're going to get one shot on me. I may save it. If I do, I will not stop the rebound, so make sure you clear it out.
He actually made some pretty good saves. I was kind of surprised, taking that he never played goalie before, but he did good for us.
As for Kaner, there may be a goalie controversy brewing within the Bandits. Or not.
Not at all. I think I sniped on them probably 3 times, so it was pretty easy out there for us. We buried pretty much every chance.
I think I should stick to defense for sure. It was kind of rough at the start, kind of loosened up towards the end and made some big saves at the end to get the win, so I mean, can't complain.
And with Kissel's show hours away, a new pre-show afternoon agenda is being set into motion.
I'm going to probably put on some Rub A535, pop a few Robaxa set, and have a good nap.
Lance Phillips, Newcap Sports, Lloydminster.
The clock is ticking for countries to ratify the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Signals from Japan are pointing in the direction of a sign-off in March. In this week's Agriculture Report, Drought Lampow finds out why one egg group is not happy with Canada's response.
The message from the Canadian Cattlemen's Association is call your member of parliament.
Our understanding is next week the chief negotiators are expecting to get together again in Japan, and they're hoping to work out an agreement that there would be potential sign-off by the 11 countries in early March.
Since the Americans walked away from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, Asian-Pacific countries led by Japan have been pushing to go it alone. The cattlemen feel that Canada has been sending mixed signals, especially as Prime Minister Trudeau missed a crucial meeting last November in Vietnam, which, while attended by the International Trade Minister, it was seen as a diplomatic slight as other heads of state were present. With NAFTA in the balance, the cattlemen feel future beef exports are dependent on cashing in on the 800 million people that make up TPP, a market accounting for 40% of world economic output.
We're going to see tariffs in one of our most important markets, Japan. immediately dropped from 38.5% all the way down to 27.2%, and over time down to 9%, which would, in our estimation, lead to literally hundreds of millions of dollars of additional sales there, really limited only by our current supply.
Laycraft sees some $200 million in opportunities being at risk if Canada is left out. On the manufacturing side, Canada's auto industry could be in trouble under origin of content rules and are opposing TPP. Given the prospect of Australia and New Zealand, Canadian dairy is more concerned about the 3.25% market access they will have to give up to TPP members. The Canola Council sees the removal of tariffs as opening a $780 million opportunity, and cattlemen see this as a very important time for agriculture.
It's hugely important that we're part of this. The flip side is if we're not, you're going to suddenly have new competitors, particularly New Zealand and Mexico, and Mexico is producing more grain-fed product. They'll be the ones who benefit from this agreement, and over time they'll take what's left of our market share away from us just because those countries will have such a lower tariff going into the market versus Canada.
The original TPP document raised concerns about the role of trade unions, workers' rights, and doing business with countries with certain human rights issues. Still, Laycraft is maintaining his call on Ottawa.
If anyone can communicate to their members of parliament how important it is, now is the time.
We reached out to the International Trade Ministry, but they were unable to supply someone for an interview. Gerard Lampow, Newcap News.